So we've got Hot PMO Skills, which is going to be a segment which we may or may not do every single month, but you'll have to tune in and find out. This month, we're also looking at something at the House of PMO about the theme of the month is about getting organised. So we're just going to tell you a little bit more about that. We're going to be going into a segment called What's Hot and What's Not in the world of PMO. And then finally, we've got a great guest with us this time, which, again, if you hang around, you'll be able to see who's in our hot seat this month. And we finish up with a blaze of glory. So you'll have to find out and carry on watching us. And hopefully, as you know, with any of the sessions that we do, it's we love to see the chat. So if you'd like to get involved, and, there'll be frequent opportunity throughout our show today for you to get involved, and you can do that through the chat, or if you're joining us on the live stream, you can also comment as well. So let's what's coming up first then, John? Do you want to give us
I think it's probably just important to mention there, Lindsay, so as you've just said, so we are putting this out on Zoom, but we're also putting this out on LinkedIn as a live stream. So if you're listening, and there is a slight difference between those two, so if you're listening on live stream, I'm guessing you've suddenly had a pop-up from the app saying come and join this thing. You've probably switched on just to see what it's all about. That's great. Hi, you'll get most of the experience, but where you're sort of limited, we've got a couple of polls that pop up in Zoom, and also we've got the live chat going in Zoom, as well as the conversation in LinkedIn. So if you have joined us in LinkedIn today, that's great. Welcome. I would urge you to sign up for next month and try out the Zoom experience, which you can sign up for on House of PMO's events page. That's houseofpmo.com/events. And what you'll find is you'll be able to interact fully with the polls and things and the chat that we have going on behind the scenes. You'll be kind of part of that inner circle next month, as it were.
Absolutely. So for our first segment coming up, it's about let's have a look. I think you'll get the general gist that there's going to be a lot of hotness going on. On this segment, we're going to welcome Eileen Roden. And Eileen, what's the hot PMO soft skill this month?
Eileen, you're with us. You're on mute if you're there. There we go. We're 5 minutes in and we've been able to say
schoolboy era. Well, I'm glad it's me. That's it, over and done with. Everything can go perfectly well now. So one of the things we always kind of talk about, people get lots of technical skills and we don't spend an awful lot of time in investing in some of the soft skills, and they really do help us do our day job. But something that people often forget, it's not just developing skills, but you have to develop some behaviors around those skills in order to enhance the impact they have on us. So if Lindsay just goes to the next slide, I just want to talk just a couple of minutes on just giving us a little bit to think about over the next month about looking at our kind of time management skills. Now, Lindsay's going to talk a little bit more coming up. Time management is this ability to organize and plan how to divide our time effectively, and most people these days have more work than they've got time to do. Trying to pick out, and we talked at House of PMO a little bit about separating things into kind of rocks, pebbles and sand, making sure we get all the rocks in place, all those big things that really have to be done, then trying to jiggle out the slightly smaller tasks, the pebbles around that, and then filling up with all of those kind of little bits of kind of odd telephone calls and reading a few emails. So it really kind of being able to do that, and there's lots of tips and tricks in order to be able to do that effectively. And developing that skill is really important to make sure that we maintain our own professional kind of credibility or reputation, and importantly the reputation of the PMO within the wider community, whether that be internal or external to our department or organization. But I just wanted to touch on a couple of behaviors that actually will really help enhance our time management skills and also demonstrate to other people that we've got our stuff together. So just going to start off in the bottom left-hand corner there about probe and challenge confidently in a professional manner. People are very, very keen to give the PMO things to do. And it may be the most important thing for them to do, and they want you to put it to the very top of your priority list. They say, this is one of our big boulders, we really need you plan this in and plan things around it. But actually what's really important is we get a true understanding of kind of, yes, how important it is to them, but also how important it is in relation to the other activities or other stakeholders or other accountabilities across the organization. And so there's obviously some kind of communication skills we're going to use as well, but really feel free to kind of question and ask, as it said, kind of confidently, but in a professional manner, to get a true understanding of the priority of the activity that they're asking us to do and slot into our diary and our kind of limited time. The next one is at the kind of the top there, which is about pay attention to the detail, but be pragmatic and keep the bigger picture in mind. So as I've said, the likelihood is we're going to have more jobs to do than we've got time. However, we are going to have to perhaps sometimes drop things. Now, there's an interesting one. I was having a conversation with somebody this week. There's a difference between kind of completely dropping and placing something down so you can come back and pick it later. But when we use the analogy of kind of dropping balls, that my favorite saying is always make sure that when you drop a ball, it's always one of the rubber ones and not one of the glass ones. So understanding, you know, which are those really things that must get taken, but actually there may be times when we may have to disappoint people, in which case round to the very kind of the third behavior there is about taking ownership of those tasks. So yes, we want to kind of complete them promptly and give them to people and say, yes, thank you, we've done all of that. But it's really important that if you're going to be a bit late or things are not going to schedule, or actually you're not going to have to do it, that we get back to that person and keep them updated as to where those tasks are. And just one final thing in terms of that kind of keeping people updated. An important thing to recognize is that if you don't go back to the person and tell that person that task is actually done and completed, it will be constantly jiggling in their head. Oh, I wonder if it's done. I wonder if it's done. I wonder if it's done. So no task can, a good tip is no task is completed until I've actually told the person who asked me to do it that it's actually been done. So hope that's useful, but thinking about in terms of kind of your own personal time management and some behaviors you can help to develop over the next month to make you more effective.
Eileen, that's great. Thank you so much. I especially like that one. It's not done until it's done and handed over and been received. Beautiful stuff. Let's move on to our next session, which I believe is Lindsay, because you guys over at House of PMO have got a theme for the month, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we have been, I don't know if you've noticed over the last few months, but we've been picking up different international days and, you know, like International Get Out of Bed Day and all that kind of good stuff. So we thought beginning of the year, Get Organised month. So not a day, it's an entire month. We have kicked this off this week, and we were hoping that we would get some people being able to share. So that's what the chat's for, in order to share these kind of good tips about getting organized for PMO people. So if you've got some great ones, we would love you to share, but we'll be sharing those over the next few weeks on socials. So from what we've got so far, we've had a few already, and I think some of them might be familiar to you. I've always loved the Eat the Frog one, which is you pick off the horrible tasks that you really don't want to do, and go with that one. You know, get it done and it's out of the way. So that's always a good one to remember. 2-minute rule. If something that can be done in 2 minutes, just get on and do it, rather than putting it off. But there you go. Trello. We love to hate Trello sometimes in our organization, but at the very least, use it for what it's intended to do. Stick things on there that are in your head, get it down there, use it as a to-do list. It is that, you know, stuff on a backlog, there's your brain dump, what it is you're working on and what you've done. That's its, you know, at its most perfectly beautiful and what it's designed to do. There's Trello. So you might have heard of this one as well, Emma, about making sure that you are taking breaks, and procrastination is the evil for us all, but actually you can build in some. So 25 minutes, then I'm going to do some work, and it's going to give me 5 minutes where I can go and do something else. So it's actually, one of those things that if you're one of these people gets really antsy about how much time is just tripping away from you, have a look at that one. We touched on Eisenhower Matrix. It's come up loads of times recently. We did a session not long ago about change management. It came up there too. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. When you see it, you'll probably, okay, so that's what it is, and that's just about picking out and prioritizing. So yeah, have a look at that one. This is one from our very own Eileen. She likes her books. She's got lots of books, and if you want to keep a track of what it is that you're reading, what you've got already, so you don't rebuy the same books, that's how it keeps her organized in terms of the book stuff. This came from one of the community, just talking again about how to keep organized, and for this guy it was Microsoft Planner Kanban. So there's another option other than Trello. And here's just a short video of one of my top tips as to. Hi, this is the House of PMO, and this month, January 2023, we are getting into International Getting Organised Day. And I thought I'd kick off with sharing a good hack for anybody who's working in PMO, is how do you get organised on a day-to-day basis? I've been using something for a number of years now, and I think it's become my go-to really into how I organize my everyday routines and what it is that I've got to do. And I always start with a trusty moleskin. I know it's probably not the height of fashion, a good old pen and paper. I do use a lot of electrical things, like Outlook, and digital things like Trello, but sometimes it's a good old pen and paper that really does the trick. And yeah, so I've got my trusty moleskin, and I also use this as well, which is it's actually originally a mouse mat, believe it or not. And it comes from a company called Knock Knock, and you can buy it on Amazon. And essentially, this is my 5 days a week. So this is what I'm, obviously I'm filling this out normally at the end of each week for the following week. So I put in my things like my meetings and the things that I want to do, and that kind of stuff. And what I tend to do is use it within my moleskin. So here is just a brief look at how I tend to use. Oh, sorry. So I've got all my stuff going on using my 5 day a week, so I can see those are meetings that are going in, stuff that I want to do. And then on my right hand side, this is when I've got my scribbles, and I can add in if I'm making a phone call or I'm chatting to somebody, and doodles and all of that kind of good stuff. So for me, it's just having this trusty kind of visual really, rather than it being hidden away inside some things like Trello. We do use Trello, but again, this is for me and how I like to do things. I'm really interested to see if anybody else shares and does the same kind of thing as I do. And just a little close up there, you can see, yeah, it looks like it's like a chaotic mess, but if you imagine these are all your meetings that you're doing, and just being able to cross things off. I love that, the fact that you can cross things off. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of, like I say, pen and paper, sometimes it is having that physical thing in your hands. And I just love the fact that it's battered and I've got my stickers on it, and I staple in each one of these pages each day. Having that blank piece of paper for the following week, and adding nice things in, and sometimes I use different colours if I'm feeling that way. I might use nice little clouds. I just like to be able to pick up a nice pen as well. Being able to a bit of stationery is always good. And then you can see that I staple it on 3 sides, so I've actually got space to tuck anything in that I might want to. So yeah, I think this is the first share really in terms of hacks for PMO people. What is it that you do in order to get through the working day, and make sure you remember everything that you need to remember. So please do let us know what you think and what you do too. So that is our getting organised, Mum. So it's great that some people have already been having a look through, you know, putting down some of the things that they do too. I hope that we can, we'll definitely be picking those out of the chat. So please do pop them in as we go through the next session. So without further ado, let's move. So this month's poll of the month is obviously organised, about getting organised. Eileen, what's the poll of the month? Do you want to run us through it?
I would, but it says it's inactive on my machine. It's on another machine. So you or John must have the poll now.
I haven't got the poll. Have you got the poll, John? He's on mute.
I had it before. It's no longer with me.
Yeah. Technology, eh? You got it, John?
How about now? Is it on now? Can anyone see a poll?
Somebody stick the thumbs up if they've got a poll. Perfect.
There we go.
Yay.
Search the poll.
There we go. So the poll is up. For those of you on Zoom, you should have that up on screens at the moment. For those of you on LinkedIn, we've just posted a question to those in kind of the inner circle on Zoom, asking what motivates you to get organized at work. And there's different options there. Create more time to spend on activities outside work, create less day-to-day stress for yourself, get more done in the same amount of time, create more time to learn new things, to get better, gain more responsibility, possibly promotion. So those are the kind of options we've got there, and that's what people on the Zoom chat are voting on at the moment. Just while those votes come in, a reminder to anyone on LinkedIn, if you want to get involved in the polls or the chat that we've got running in Zoom for next month, do take a look at House of PMO's website, look in the events section and sign up for the event there. They will send you a link to Zoom, and then you're kind of in the inner circle for next month. Okay, I think we've probably stabilized on those results. Now, is anyone still voting? Otherwise, I'm going to press the end button in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're ending there. Let's just share those results on your screen. So you should be able to see those now if you're on Zoom. I think the winner there by far was this create less day-to-day stress. Absolutely right. Certainly myself, I find when I've got a whole load of things in my head, it's quite therapeutic, whether we're using Trello or one of the Google tools or even the sort of moleskins that we have, whatever, just getting it out of your head and down so you can start taking things off is really powerful as a de-stressing tool. Next, I think we had a tie for second place. Completing more tasks in the same amount of time, especially good for all you contractors out there. It's really pleasing me to hear that you're getting more stuff in, maximizing the value. Love it. And then gain to get better, gain more responsibility, possible promotion there as well. Absolutely. The more you're being efficient, you're kind of getting that time to learn new things, but also to be able to take on more and demonstrate your skills to senior management as well. So lots of different ideas. And of course, the reality is for all of us, getting organized actually enables all of those things and gives you that opportunity to choose what you're doing with that time. Buy back the time, get yourself more organized, and then use it for whatever one of those things motivates you at that time.
Great, thank you very much. And we've also got some more hacks going in and some thoughts there as well. So keep them coming in. So thank you very much for that. Let's get. So it's hot or not. It's a new segment, and let's have a look at what's hot right now in PMO. So the temperature's rising. John, this is yours. What's hot?
Wowee. So Chat GPT, if anyone's been on LinkedIn or on the internet or any of the technology news, you've almost certainly heard about Chat GPT. This is what people are touting as the latest iteration or evolution of the internet. It's an incredible tool. I've been playing around with it quite a lot. It's basically a chat bot, but it's really, really advanced. It's it's super powerful. So I've been using it for things like sanity checking work that I've done. I've asked it to reword things for me. I got a press release that went out from Hot PMO yesterday, and I played that into ChatGPT and just said, right, I've got this press release going out. Here's what I'm doing. Here's the wording of it. Can you make any suggestions to improve the wording on there for me? And it came back with a 7-point bulleted list based on what I'd plugged into it. So I found that really, really useful. It's quite good for scoping documents for you. If you want to do a presentation and you're describing the sort of the outline of it, it can recommend what goes on the slides for you. I've also used it for translating things into Hungarian and French for me quite recently, and found it was a lot more, the conversational style made it a lot better because it got the context a lot more. If you get a chance, do go and have a look at it, play around with it for yourself. So there's a good question there from Elaine. How does ChatGPT work with data protection? So at the moment, it's only a beta release thing. Any of the information that you put in there is being used to continuously improve the tool. So I guess like any random internet tool, I wouldn't advise you to put your bank details in or company sensitive data, or certainly your client data in there. But if you want to sanity check things, ask it for context, ask it to write PMO charters for you and things with a small brief. It's great for doing that. Have a look around, play with it, and I'd love to hear what you're using it for or where you found it useful as well. Yeah. That was one. The second one, actually, you used it to write a poem, Lindsay, as well, didn't you? Which is there, which looks fabulous. So this was where Lindsay asked it if it could write a poem about PMO HotHouse for us, and this is what it came up with. So just a bit of a sense of what that can do for us there. Second one, those of you who know me for a while will know I'm very passionate about automation and low code and things like that. So I got quite excited about the Butler rules stuff that Eileen was mentioning and Alan earlier. But Hot PMO have just signed a partnership deal with a company called Keto. Keto run a PPM tool, and the reason we've signed up a partnership with them is because they are very much focused on making your PPM tools low code. The idea there being is that you're not suddenly tied into consultants every time you want to make changes, that your project management team can actually make changes to those tools on the fly. You can adjust your processes, add fields in, drop fields in, and generate reports, all without that detailed knowledge that so often is required when you're using some of the tools like Plan View and Clarity. So that's another one to watch, those kind of more and more of these low code tools that are coming in that make it easier for your team. Okay. What have you got for us, Lindsay?
Okay, well, this one's a kind of a giggle because it's hot right now because soft skills got a bit of a makeover from a recent PMI Pulse of the Profession report. They've started calling it power skills, which I thought were really cute, but it is only, I say only, it is just soft skills. It is about the, the more personable skills, which I just thought it just made me laugh. So now you can start, what is hot right now? We don't call them soft skills anymore. We call it power skills. Okay, so Eileen, what's your hot right now?
I think this is everybody's kind of come back after Christmas, and hopefully people have had time over Christmas to kind of connect with kind of friends and family. And I think we've been missing people. I think people really are trying to connect back up with their team and the people who they work with. So it's a bit post-Christmas. I think it's a bit kind of, Lindsay and I were having this chat. I think people are still kind of got a bit of a post-pandemic mindset rather than saying, actually, we need our new normal. We need to kind of get back to kind of meeting people and doing things with people. So we've heard from lots of people who've been trying to kind of get it with their team, getting back to skills. And again, we're really interested in terms of kind of ways in which you're kind of trying to get that kind of reconnection to kind of how it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's, what about what's not right now? So with the temperatures cooling. John, you've got your first one. Fake agile versus waterfall.
So I've been watching the conversations on LinkedIn. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm feeling there's a bit of a change going on to this conversation that's dominated for what feels like forever now, where there's been a pattern of people who are very evangelistic agilists, lining agile up against this faux evil thing called waterfall and turning it into this agile versus waterfall debate. But I know something different this year. In the last few weeks, I've noticed a change going on LinkedIn. There's more and more conversations around people saying, well, actually, this idea of waterfall that you're putting up doesn't match anyone's reality of what project management really looks like in real life. And lots of people saying, well, actually, maybe a blended approach is better. Let's be realistic. You can use agility in regular project management. There's things to learn on all sides. And as delivery experts, be us agilists or traditional project managers or PMO people, we all should be using a combination of tools out there and soft skills and technology tools just to get the stuff that the organization needs delivered in a timely manner. So I'm quite excited that we may have turned a corner on that. The endless agile versus waterfall debate may hopefully be something we leave squarely in 2022 as we talk about well-rounded delivery people.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so from my perspective, we are hearing a lot about the recruitment woes that are going on in PMO right now. When we were towards to be fair, it's not just the latter part of last year. I think it's been going on for a while now. PMO teams are struggling to find the right kind of people to join their PMOs. In terms of how they're struggling, I think one of the main ones at the moment is that there is a lot of competition out there for roles. So PMO people have got more choice in terms of where they might be choosing to move to. But I think, again, you know, until can't see a change on the horizon just yet with that, but yeah, tricky times ahead trying to find the right kind of people to join your PMO. Eileen?
Okay, so mine is back to kind of meeting up with people, and the third one is this trying to get face-to-face meetings. Is really kind of, it just doesn't feel as though it's happening at all at the moment, and whether there's a desire or not, I know we're desperate to try and kind of do some face-to-face events, but really struggling because all of those people who are going to be Tuesday, Wednesdays and Thursdays have ended up being Tuesday, Wednesdays or Thursdays. And so, you know, trying to get a group of people together in a single place at a single time is really kind of quite difficult. And the trains, of course, whatever our sympathies are, it just kind of makes that all a little bit difficult. So most of us, I think, are still struggling to kind of try and stay abreast and meet people on the over the internet, but hopefully we'll be kind of things might be warming up in that area soon.
I like that, warming up in this area too. So we're on to our last segment of the day, and it's one guaranteed to warm us up. So let's have a look at what's coming up. So we've got a new one, a hot seat, and we are delighted to welcome our first guest. Eileen, do you want to kick us off?
Well, we've got Adrian. There we go, and he's got his he's put his camera on so everybody can kind of see him looking in a very tidy study. Adrian, I'm very impressed. I have to have a background on to hide my books here. So we're here talking about your new book, Agile Beyond IT. Yes, look, we've all got we've all bought it and got it here.
Well done.
So we just, Adrian, I've known you for an awful long time and watched you in and around project management. And one of the things about writing a book, the first thing you have to kind of convince a publisher is, well, what's different about your book? What messages have you got in there that are not in any other book?
I think the simplest one here is, whereas most books, most writing, and even most of the Agile project management training courses focus mostly on the project management of IT projects, I wanted to say, well, what does agility look like when applied to the whole of project management? So my book is focused not on the project management of anything, but the project management of lots and lots of different sectors. Okay. But it focuses on the project management and the components of project management itself. The very thing that we've just had about this so-called waterfall versus agile debate, which is a complete non-debate, because waterfall is essentially, when you boil down to it, is a life cycle, and agility is about an awful lot more than a life cycle. So it's complete nonsense. So I've been trying to actually almost champion project management profession and say, what does agility look like in terms of the profession and how we do that job? So that's kind of where what it seeks to do and what makes it really different. And the examples that are throughout the book are from loads of different sectors, anything from sort of finance to retail to even nuclear engineering is in there, believe it or not.
Excellent. Now, when we kind of talk about waterfall and agile, we often have this conversation, waterfall or agile. I get the impression that this agility is just, instead of everything, it kind of overlays everything. You're not talking about, if we kind of follow the principles laid out in your book, we need to kind of throw things away. It's about developing what we've already got and making it better.
Well, exactly so. I mean, I can go back just quickly to several years ago when APM had something called the sort of Agile Working Group I was part of. And a workshop was organized to take a look at what was then the set of APM competencies and ask the question, do we need to make any changes to the competencies to take account of adapting to agility? And the conclusion we came to at the end of that day was very minor tweaks. There were probably just some additions around some of the so-called soft skills, the people stuff like leadership and teams and things like that, and focusing more on collaborative behaviors. But otherwise, it was really just tinkering around the edges. And project management remains project management. All agility is an adaptation of it to a particular mindset and a particular approach, which is why agility doesn't work for every organization, because you need a particular mindset, you need a particular organization culture in order for agility to work, whether it's agility for software development, project management, marketing, engineering, or whatever. So it is a particular adaptation of and use of project management, but it's about all of project management, the technical skills, if you like, and techniques, from risk to scheduling to change control, and all the people ones as well, leadership, teams, communication, etc. And what I do in the book is describe what those look like when agility is applied to them.
Okay, and so, can we do the whole thing, or can we do bits of it? Are we looking for a kind of an evolution or a revolution now your book's come out, Adrian?
Well, I mean, one of the, agility is certainly out there at the moment. Business agility is an increasing thing. If you look at just about every sector disruptor, whether it's Tesla in automotive or Amazon in retail, or any of the disruptors in the finance sector, every single one of those organizations have an awful lot of agility about them. So it's then a question of organizations saying, dare we not move towards agility? But it's really hard, most particularly because it's a massive culture change. For those organizations, you've got to move from command and control to more sort of collaborative, more empowering, and that's seriously hard to do. So the question is it worth that kind of investment to get the value return? But having said that, when you've got disruptors not just biting at your heels, but actually taking huge chunks out of market share, can you avoid actually going down that road as an organization?
I suspect not. So a little bit or a lot, depending on our organisation. Now, I was very pleased, Adrian, to find that there's actually a section in there for the PMO. Specifically, you actually mention us by name and also demonstrate an understanding of what the PMO can and is able to do in an organisation. Do you just quickly want to touch on kind of where you think the role of the PMO might be, and kind of taking this book and using it in anger in their organisation?
Oh, now you're asking me. Oh, tricky question. No, actually, this was quite straightforward. I've long believed, and I've designed, built, and operated enterprise PMOs for a number of clients over the years. And I've always gone for taking a view that enterprise PMOs have a very high potential value. They are the ones who, in terms of sort of change activities, they're the ones who kind of take the strategy and they make it real. Agility is in managing a portfolio is saying, well, hang on a second, things do change, business requirements do change. One of the values that the PMO can be doing is make sure that they're keeping those key business requirements prioritized and then translated into the programs and projects needed to deliver. That they're also, from the delivery side of things, that they're also got a light touch involvement in looking to see what progress is as well, and saying, well, okay, looking for trends, do things need to change? Plus also agility and actually how they operate. I agree, it's great to automate things as far as possible, because that again can mean that data is current, and if any changes need to be made, that then you've got the data to be able to make rapid decisions and be very fleet of foot, be very agile and very adaptable in those ways. So I'm a big fan of high value enterprise PMOs.
So it's a great kind of textbook, for the PMO to start thinking about, kind of where our service is going, what are we going to do, how can we help drive, agility in the organization. So just one last question then, as we kind of wrap up. Going through the book, I know when we start writing books, we have in our head a picture of kind of where we want it to go. But what have you learned as you've written the book, Adrian?
I think as I wrote the book, what have I learned? Can I actually change that slightly, because I think it's more what I've actually learned from people coming, sort of responding to me, and I'm pleased to say I've had lots of fantastic responses. But actually, one of the things that's come out of it, from especially a lot of senior managers, is they've looked at the conditions for agility part of the book towards the beginning, and then they've looked at the roadmap towards, how do I become agile? And they've said to me, but this is actually applicable. It says, I'm trying to move agility outside of IT and move towards a more business operating model, and that sometimes involves projects and sometimes business as usual stuff. And the roadmap stuff is as applicable to me in that space as it is just about how do I create an organization which helps agile or project agility to thrive. And that's been fantastic feedback. And I've got hopefully something happening in the pipeline at the moment in terms of some video logs on business agility that will then pick up on that theme.
Excellent. Brilliant. Well, 10 minutes flies. Where can we get your book, Adrian?
Well, it's obviously the usual suspects from Amazon.
I think Lindsay might have a page.
However, a special deal for anyone can actually get it from me for if they're under UK postage only. They can get it from me for £23, including postage and packing. They can contact me through LinkedIn, and we'll take it from there. Like I say, so it's £23 special offer for House of PMO fans tuning into this, or indeed seeing the recording.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, Adrian. Hope everybody found it useful. I don't know whether we've got time for some live questions, but if you do have any questions for Adrian, we might have a minute in chat, or do contact him on LinkedIn. I'm sure he'll get back to you. Thanks very much for your time, Adrian.
Pleasure, and good luck to everybody.
Thank you
very much. All right, super duper. Thank you, Adrian. That's perfect. You're the first guest on our new show format, so really appreciate your time. So we're getting towards the end. We've got 45 minutes. It's fast and furious, and hopefully you got a bit of time left before you get back into work after your lunch. So let's think about how we're wrapping this up, because the blaze of glory is just another word for wrapping up our sessions, because it is is about going out in a blaze of glory. One of the things about the definition of a hothouse is that it's about incubation. It's where ideas start. And what we're wanting to try and do with the hothouse is that things that are coming out of this, maybe through chat or through guests that we meet, or things that that we're sharing, things that we want to do more of, you know, things that we might want to maybe run an hour session on with you know, the House of PMO events calendar that we have throughout the year. So John, you've been thinking away. You're a great thinker. What's come out of today's episode for you?
I've been thinking, I've been scribbling loads of great stuff in 45 minutes there. So I really liked from Eileen's talk earlier, that idea of probing and challenging confidently. PMO people, I think cost of the PMO is a cost center, is always one of those supportive functions. This is something that often we find hard in the PMO. So to have Eileen putting it front and center there and giving us a challenge so early on in the session was quite useful. So I'd say that to everybody in your PMOs, do feel empowered to probe and challenge confidently when people are asking you to do things, because in the PMO you quite often have that unique view of the big picture, and you know everything that goes on, how everything needs to link together, and your view is hugely valuable on that. I love the getting organized section, loads of good tools that were popping up in Messenger there. The only thing I'd add to that, where we talked about the idea of the sort of 2-minute rule that came out of Eat That Frog, I'd say if you are struggling to get started on something, try and look for those first 2-minute steps. So that big insurmountable thing, look at how you can get that very first less than 2-minute step done and just make a start on that. Even if it's having a cup of tea, get that cup of tea done, and then you're on your way and moving forwards. It's also great to see from Lindsay that mouse mats still have a use in 2023. Who'd have thought it? Incredible stuff. So whatever planning tools work for you, you don't need to be on the latest, greatest tech gizmo on your phone. Old school still rocks. There's still Moleskine diaries, mouse mats, and everything in force, which is great. Find your thing and make it work for you. There's this weird dichotomy going on that I sense we're going to explore more and more this year. We want to meet up with people, which was in the hot section, but we're not quite ready to do the face-to-face meetups thing, which was in the not section. How are those two conflicting things going to resolve themselves this year? I've noticed more and more job adverts are having more and more time on site and less purely working from home. That's going in a direction. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. Maybe 2023 is going to be the year that we resolve this one once and for all. And then finally, the great insight there into using Agile outside of IT. There's a lot of PMOs that have kind of got Agile going on in a small corner, compartmentalized in the software development space. There's a real good challenge there from Agile and from the book, Fair and Square. We should be using this not just in IT, but across everything, using it across all of our projects, because Agile and agility are more a way of thinking. Innovation needs agility, and your organizations need to be agile. And I think the question there, where there was that challenge of dare we move to agile, I guess the underlying thing is, if you want innovation and you want to move with the times, dare you not go for agile? And I love that idea of roadmaps everywhere as well. A roadmap should not just be for your IT teams and product teams. Let's see more of those roadmaps springing up around the organization so we can prioritize what everyone should be working on moving forward. So loads of good ideas there. Thank you to everybody for that.
So that's it for today. We short and sweet and hot, and we'll be back next month. Make sure you do join us. We'll be back with different segments, things to keep it all nice and fresh, and we'll also have a guest with us. So John, you happy? You ready?
Absolutely. Thanks everyone. See you next time.
Okay, take care. Bye.